They had been in this house, I think somewhere between 5 to 10 years, because they'd already done their own little DIY kitchen reno a few years before. And they brought me in because they really wanted to have a bigger vision of how all the spaces could feed together when we did an extension and a reno. Like a lot of homes like this that are semi-detached, it was a tight footprint that they were living in. So when you walked in before, there was no front hall closet, which is very standard with these kinds of homes. So you just walked into kid boot chaos, you know, backpacks, everything. They had a small kitchen, the dining room was the other half of the kitchen, and a tiny little living room, and it was all just sort of one activity on top of another on the main floor. So in what used to be the foyer, what we actually did was we extended the front of the house. We built this beautiful window box, and that gave us all the mudroom storage and controlled that chaos. We were actually able to blow out the original brick archway so that we have a continuous ceiling out into what used to be the open porch area. I find with all young families, you have to have closed storage. Wherever all that mudroom chaos is going, you need the ability to close it and put it behind doors, especially when it's the first thing that you walk into in a house. We also wanted, because they've got little kids, we wanted the ability to sit down and put on boots, and so that's how we ended up with the nice bench that runs under the windows, sort of gives space for corralling everyone and getting everyone ready and then going out the door. We did a couple of different versions of the layout, one where we explored putting the dining room at the back of the house in the extension, and one where we looked at keeping it at the front. But in the end, just the size of the space at the front lent itself very nicely to having a long, lean table, keeping the fireplace in there, so we ended up keeping the dining room when you first walk in. The husband, Brett, had actually built the mantle previously, but I didn't love the hearth, stone on the floor, and I didn't love the tile surround. So what we did was we were able to salvage the mantle. We took it off, touched it up, had it refinished a little bit, and then put in a new stone floor, new tiled surround, and then painted the whole thing in this beautiful, deep matte blue. They had previously done a little kitchen spruce up. They built themselves an island and a wall, and so we did keep a fair amount of that footprint. But what we were able to do was actually reclaim what had previously been the dining area and give them a deeper kitchen island with an overhang so that they could tuck some stools in there. And then they've got a nice big pantry wall with a little bit of servery counter. One of the big focuses was increasing the counter space for them and just increasing storage. So the nice thing was we were actually able to salvage some of the carcasses because we were having custom gables and doors made for all of the cabinetry. We were actually able to repurpose some of their existing cabinetry for a little bit of cost savings for them. We knew we wanted to do probably a shaker door, but that was very similar to what they'd had before, so I suggested one of my favorite styles, which is a shaker bevel. I think it just gives a little bit more interest and, quite frankly, is a little more maintenance friendly because it doesn't give you that ledge that dust and scum collects on. It's easier to wipe down. So then flowing through, we were able to take the biggest space that we had created with the extension and turned that into the living room, which I think is really lovely because it allows them to have lots of light. It connects their social space to their backyard, which is where they like to have people over in the summer, and just put the nice big family space at the back of the house for a little more privacy. This room has a nice mix of kid-friendly and adult-friendly. So you'll notice coffee table, really big, really low, great for coloring on, activities, but at the same time, no sharp corners, that kind of stuff. But it also gives you a lot of display. So it's a really nice space to be able to have some pretty things out, and then you've also got a surface that kids can create chaos on top of, and it's easy to clean away. Obviously, we built in lots of storage. The drum tables on the side hide lots of stuff. And then of course, we've got our closed storage integrated into the bookcase as well. We had some fun with the millwork. We did a little bit of a mix, so you'll see some hardware, but we've also got a nice finger pull, which we thought was a little kind of fun, kid-friendly. And then I also really like the library lighting that we were able to integrate into it. It brings a hit of the black, so you'll find we really tried to have that mix continue through all the spaces. Aesthetically, the clients asked us for a hotel feel, which I immediately went, there are a million different kinds of hotels. What are we talking about? And what we settled on was they wanted a cooler palette with limited accents and luxurious feeling textiles. We had the bed actually custom made by one of my upholsterers, and then also did custom pillows, custom drapery, so we were really putting together a palette that we had a lot of control over. Another area where we did a lot of custom millwork was in the master bedroom, and I think you'll see it ties into the crown molding as it goes across the room. Like the whole thing just really ties together and feels quite harmonious. And the inserts give them tons of storage, they've got lots of space. My particular favorite moment are the little restoration hardware pulls. I just think they're so gorgeous. All of the space at the top of the stairs and what is now the master ensuite was the old master bedroom. So it was a tight fit. The layout wasn't tremendously forgiving. It is a long, narrow space, which automatically tells us we're gonna have to put the shower at the end in order to get the size that we want. It's slightly shallower than standard for the vanity, and then we actually snuck in a little recessed storage niche that runs continuously from one end to the other straight through the shower, which is one of my personal little favorite details. Again, we were going for neutral and calm because it doesn't have windows in that space, but I really loved the idea of doing something that brought in a bit of a natural stone. Like you'll see that in almost all of the tiles through the house, the foyer floor, the backsplash in the kitchen. We really went for things that either are actually a natural stone or look like one. And so I think that gives you a really warm palette while still staying simple and earth-toned. I think we successfully walked a really fine line with this project, which is that all of the rooms feel harmonious together and they feel quite neutral, but then every room has some character to it, has some color, has some hits of metallics. So there's always gonna be an accent that's repeating, and we actually tried to repeat those through different rooms. So you'll see blues repeat, you'll see oranges repeat, you'll see reds repeat, but at the same time, it still feels very fresh, very light. It was a hard line for us to walk, but I think we did a really good job.